Now for this image, let's take a look at how we would approach it. My first thought would be to start with the sky, add the clouds, leave those areas light, add the darkness, then work my way down to the tide pool. Now since we have a gray, hazy sky, I'm going to be using clean water on a synthetic wash brush and apply the water to the sky. Then using our number 14 blend brush and a little cobalt blue, let's think about the areas around the clouds. And just add a few sweeping strokes. Now this doesn't need to be perfect. You can consider this your foundation and then come back in and add more detail. And while the surface is still a little damp, let's add some purple. And to help show that sunshine, I'm going to add a little Indian yellow on the left-hand side. Then for the darker clouds, using a little French ultramarine blue blended with burnt sienna, I'll add the darker values to the right-hand side. And sweep in just a few more strokes in the middle. Then let it start to dry, then come back in and add more color as the surface dulls down. Then to show the reflection of the sky and the tide pools, I'll bring some of those colors down. And then soften some of those brush strokes. Then let it dry and then come back in and start working on some of those clouds to add more detail. Then for the beach, I'll just take a little bit of my Hansa yellow and add it to my palette mud. Now you can choose a different color, but I like that it's going to tie the painting together because it'll have some of that yellow hue in the sky. Just sweep the color on dry paper so we have that nice edge on the beach. Then using a little burnt sienna, I'll add it to my color mix to deepen the value and create those rocks in the tide pool. Now your colors really don't have to be exact, but if that's really important to you, just mix your colors and test them on a scrap piece of paper first. And keep the brush loosely in your hand. Then for any of those shadows in the tide pools, just darken the value. And by doing this, it helps to really build your foreground. And to prevent too many hard lines, just soften some of those edges. Now in the reference photo, as we look off into the distance, we can see that the land's a little darker, but I'm just going to use my palette mud, which means it's all the leftover color blended together in my palette. Then playing with the amount of pressure I applied to the brush, I'll just add the land in the distance. And to help me get those rocks just beyond the shoreline, I'll turn the paper upside down and randomly place little dots of color. Then turn the paper back around to see the results. Using the same darker value, come back in and reapply more color and add some shadows to the tide pools in the foreground. Then using your favorite green combination, add your trees. And try to be a little looser with them. You don't want them to look like they're drawn on. Skip the brush around and have a few spaces in between. Now you can always add more color and detail and take more time. But now you have a basic idea how to approach a composition like this.